and you got to supply material, right? And capital, right? So those are the types of things that GM is putting together as they form an automobile. They got capital, they got labor, okay? Who are the buyers for General Motors?
Us.
Yeah, people, right? So let's talk about bargaining power, because that's what Porter's analysis is all about, okay? So when you've got bargaining power, okay, when it's General Motors against its part suppliers, okay, there are thousands of people that supply airbags or the other pieces of a car, all right? If you use Porter's analysis, General Motors is probably in a pretty good position with the part suppliers, okay? Because there are lots of them and only one at GM. And, you know, probably 6 major car manufacturers, right? But lots of suppliers, okay? That kind of changed when the part suppliers all aggregated together, right? And then you had a couple of major companies that were supplying parts to the automobile industry. And that shifted the bargaining power. The UAW was all about giving collective bargaining power to labor, right? Back in the old days, General Motors had lots of employees. And many, many, many more people that wanted jobs. So that's easy. Anybody ever ask for a raise, you get rid of the person asking for a raise and bring in the unemployed guy who wants a job. But as soon as you get laws passed that say you have to be part of the UAW in order to work at General Motors, then prices go up, right? Cost of labor goes up. Cost of healthcare goes up. And now all of a sudden, General Motors and Ford and Chrysler are watching their share of the U.S. automobile market go under 50%. Why? One of the reasons is they lost bargaining power with labor, and the cost of making the car has gone up significantly. What about bargaining powers with buyers? Now you're in a little bit better situation, right? Because there are lots of buyers and just one of GM. Now, there are other people who will sell cars, right? But still, if you take a look at the number of people buying versus the number of people selling, you get numbers on your side. Now, I said Porter's analysis was a way of doing qualitative research without necessarily having to have numbers. But still, you can use general numbers, right? You don't have to use specific numbers, okay? And generally, you can say that they're in a better bargaining position with their buyers than they are with their suppliers, okay? So those two are pretty easy, buyers and suppliers. It's the most obvious thing you think of with a company, right? Which company takes plastic, turns it into a widget, sells the widget to the little kid, okay? Buyers and suppliers, just about the company and its product. The next two, which is new entrants and substitute products, talks about the company in respect to the other players in its industry, all right? So now, when you talk about new entrants, can anyone think of new entrants into the automobile industry?
Recent?
Well, let's just talk about going forward.
No, it's kind of difficult, but there is a new electric car company.
Yeah, that's true. I would actually call that a substitute product as opposed to a new entrant. When I think of new entrants, I think of the Chinese, okay? The Chinese, now that's number one, a huge pool of labor. And despite the fact they're still technically communists, they're not big fans of labor unions over there, right? And so if General Motors goes over and starts producing cars in China, they don't have to worry about the UAW, right? So that would be one thing. If you talk about the threat of new entrants, either General Motors is going to start producing cars in China, or the Chinese are going to start producing cars in China, and someone is going to be taking advantage of that low-cost labor, right? So I think GM, and maybe Ford and Chrysler as well, but I know GM is anticipating new entrants from China, and so they're trying to get over there and get involved in it, right? Threat of substitute products would be